Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to make a kaleidoscope image in Photopea. The first thing you need to do is go to photopea.com, which I've already done. So this is what it looks like. You're going to go to File, Open. Hopefully you have saved your photo somewhere where you know how to find it. Maybe it's in Downloads. On my desktop, I made a folder called Quarantine Photos. So if I just open that, I have a couple photos to choose from. I think I'm going to use this one of these pretty purple flowers. So I open my image. All right, there it is. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it down a little bit so that I can have more space on my canvas to add my other images. So in order to resize it, I'm actually going to go to Edit, Free Transform. Okay, it gives you this box around the outside. You're going to click the corner and drag in, but you'll see it's getting a little distorted. If I hold Shift, then it stays in proportion, and I want it to stay in proportion. So I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm just going to resize it so it looks like about 4 could fit on my page. I let go, and I click Enter. You have to click Enter to get rid of that little bounding box. If not, you're not going to be able to do anything else. All right, so the next step is I'm going to go over to my layers palette, and there's only one layer. It's the background. It's this photo. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it down to this little Post-it note looking icon, which is the new layer. So click, drag. When I get on top of that Post-it note new layer icon, I'm going to let go, and now you'll see I have two. The photos are stacked on top of each other, so if I just click, I can drag my photos so they're next to each other. Okay? Now, in order to make it look like a kaleidoscope, we have to flip our photos so that they're the mirror of each other. How I can do that, I make sure I'm clicked on this photo, this layer, this one on this side, and I'm just going to go up to Edit. This time I'm going to go to Transform where there's the options, and I'm going to flip horizontally. And that just flips it so that it becomes the mirror. All right, I'm going to go back over to my Layers palette. I'm going to click on Layer 1, and I'm going to drag that down to the new layer Post-it note looking icon and let go. So now I have another copy of Layer 1. They're stacked on top of each other. I'm going to drag that new layer down so that it is stacked directly below the one I just flipped. Now this time I want to flip it so it's the mirror, but I want it to be the vertical mirror. So I'm going to go over to Edit, Transform, and this time flip vertically. And there you go. Now we have the mirror going vertically. So now we have our last little space right here. So I'm going to click Layer 1 Copy, bring it down to the new layer Post-it note icon. Now I have Layer 1 Copy 2. If you wanted to, you could rename these, but I don't think that it's super necessary because there's only a couple and it's like all the same thing. So I'm gonna go, that's how you would just like click on the title, and then I could write where this one's gonna be. So this one I'm gonna put on the bottom left. All right, but that's up to you. So I click, dragging it over to the bottom left. Now I just need to flip it again, and I want the horizontal mirror this time. So I go to Edit, Transform, flip horizontally. Okay, if you accidentally make a mistake, you can just go undo. A lot of times I get confused for some reason, and I start flipping vertically when I need to flip horizontally, and I do the wrong one. That's no problem. You can just go Edit, Undo. Okay, and it just takes you back, and then you can do what you meant to do. So if you accidentally click the wrong one, that's easy to fix. Now we have this little bit of extra space, which isn't a huge deal because actually this checkerboard just means like a clear background. But going to crop it. So I just click on the crop tool. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down. And I'll just come up to the corner and I'll just click and drag, and I'm just creating a box. And whatever's in this box, when I click enter, is what's going to remain on the screen. So enter. And voila, I have my kaleidoscope image. So then I'm going to do two things. You can save as a Photoshop document, and you can export at any of these different file types. So if you remember back to when we talked about saving, probably when we did the levitation, a Photoshop document is like a Word document. Like you can go back in, you can type, you can edit. A JPEG is like a PDF. Like you can't go back in and type. It's just like a picture. Okay? So you want to save it as both. Save as PSD. All right? And it's down here. What we're going to do is we're just going to click show in folder. Okay, and it takes us and shows us where it's saved. So it's saved right here. It's the most recent thing. I'm going to right click and I'm going to rename. And I'm going to call it my name. You guys do first and last. So if I were you, I would do Erin Mahoney. Then just do a little underscore and write Kaleidoscope. It's a little bit of a tough word. Do your best to spell it. And then you can just click out of it. But now it's saved in downloads, and I feel like that's a little confusing. So if I click and drag and hover over where it says desktop, you'll see it says move to desktop, and I'm just going to let go. Now, if I go to my desktop, Erin Mahoney Kaleidoscope, it's right there. Okay, so now I have it saved on my desktop. I'm going to also export as a JPEG, and that's just like the picture. Okay, so I'm going to go to export as and JPG, and I'm going to click. It's going to be zoomed in like super close. It just is when it goes to save, so don't worry about that. It's not just saving this, it's saving the whole thing. And then I can click save, and it downloads it down here. That's the one thing I really don't like about Photopea. Well, there's other things, but that's one of the things I really don't like is you have to download it and then save it if you want to like name it or something. So I'll just go show in folder again. Actually, for this one, you can do open, and it brings you into this window. You can just click on the three dots, save as. This might be an easier way to do it because then you don't have to like drag it over to the desktop. So I see it's being saved to the desktop. It says it right there. And then I'll just call it Erin Mahoney Kaleidoscope, which is it being spelled right? Kaleidoscope. Okay, close enough. All right, I can call it the same thing because there's a different file extension. So it's not going to be like you're saving the same file. It's fine. You can just click save. And now if you were to jump onto your desktop, you would see the entire thing. So no worries, you guys, you got it. If you've done this and you want to try to take it to what I'm going to call the next level, here's something that you can do. All right, if you go over to your layers palette, right click on your layer and just click merge down, and keep doing that until all of your layers appear together as one. All right, what I could do is I'm going to put more than one of these on my page. So one thing I'm going to check is my canvas size. All right, my canvas size is huge. It's 40 inches by 53 inches. So it's not a problem if I just go to free transform rather, and just shrink this down because my canvas size is like really big. So that's no problem. Remember, then you just click enter. Once you've shrunk it, go over to the layers palette. You can move that one over. Go over to the layers palette. You can move that one down. You don't need to do any of the flipping horizontally or vertically. That's fine. If you accidentally set it like off like this, you can try to line it back up, but if you need to, you can just click over using the arrows on your keyboard to help make it lined up better. Whatever is easiest for you. One last one. There we go. So it looks like this one needs to just be over a hair because you can see that white in the middle. All right. So like I could keep doing this. I could make, I can merge these all together and keep adding them. I could also make my canvas size larger if I wanted and add more. Okay, so you could do as many as you wanted to like keep this pattern going. Okay, it's totally up to you. This is like taking it to the next step, but I think it looks really cool and really even more like a kaleidoscope. So I encourage you, if you've had success with the first one, to do it this way as well. So I'll just save as PSD. It's down here. I'm gonna go show in folder. First, I'm gonna rename Miss Mahoney. I'm gonna call it a double kaleidoscope. And just remember, drag it over to your desktop so it's easier for you to find. Oops, I forgot to crop this, but again, it's not a huge deal. Like if you were gonna print it, that's just clear. But I wanna put some of these up. So make sure you do crop it so that I can put some of these on the Mount Vernon Instagram pages, okay? So export as a JPEG. Oops, you guys can see right here, it's not perfectly lined up. So I'm just gonna slide back out, find my magnifying glass, and let's get in a little closer. And now we see that it's not perfectly lined up. All right. I actually think I want to move this one over. Okay, so now I'm going to export as a JPEG. And now you can see that it's much better. I'll click save. I'll come down here to the bottom. Oops, remember, I'm so silly. Open, because then you can just, it takes out some of the steps. Save as, put it on my desktop, Miss Mahoney, double kaleidoscope. And I will just click save. And then once I'm done, I can upload the JPEG versions to Google Classroom and then keep the PSD, the Photoshop document versions, just saved on my computer in case I want to play around with it, redo it, anything like that.